Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Books in Bytes today.
Uh,
We're diving into a world many consider a chilling prophecy. George Orwell's 1984.
yeah, it's a book that just throws you right into this dystopia, Oceania, dominated by the ever-present gaze of Big Brother. I'm sure you've heard that phrase, Big Brother is watching you. Well, this is where it comes from.
Right, and it's not just surveillance. 1984 really delves into the dangers of totalitarianism,
Hmm.
propaganda, and the suppression of individual thought and freedom. And it's all seen through the eyes of Winston Smith, who dares to rebel against this all-powerful party.
Yeah, and that's a key point. Winston isn't some hardened revolutionary. He's an ordinary man who
Yeah.
starts to question the reality that's presented to him, and that makes his journey all the more relatable and terrifying.
Okay, let's get into it. Right from the start, Orwell throws us into this oppressive world. We've got telescreens that are spying on people, the thought police ready to snatch anyone with a dissenting thought, and history's constantly being rewritten to fit the party's agenda. It's intense.
It's designed to be. Think about the impact on you, the reader. Orwell wants to create this visceral reaction to make you feel that suffocating control of the party. He uses Winston's small acts of rebellion, like writing in his illegal diary, to make us consider, how much are we willing to compromise? For safety.
And that diary entry, down with Big Brother, such a powerful moment. It's a simple act, but in this world, it's a declaration of war against the entire system.
Precisely. And it really highlights the power of language, something Orwell was deeply concerned with. It's not just about expressing thoughts, it's about shaping them. And the party understands this, hence the creation of Newspeak, their attempt to control thought by controlling language.
That's where it gets really scary. Newspeak aims to eliminate words that challenge the party's ideology. It's like they're trying to shrink the very space in which you can think.
Think about the implications for you. If you don't have the words to express dissent, can you even formulate the thought itself? It's a chilling question. That goes to the heart of freedom and control.
It's definitely thought-provoking. But Winston isn't just fighting against these abstract ideas. He's also battling the party's control over everyday life, their manipulation of relationships, and even emotions.
That's right. The party tries to redirect all human emotions towards Big Brother and hatred for the enemy. Remember the 2 minutes hate? It's this ritualized outburst of rage directed at Goldstein, the party's scapegoat. But underneath it all, there's this deep yearning for connection and intimacy that the party tries to suppress.
And that's where Julia comes in. Despite the constant fear and surveillance, Winston finds himself drawn to her rebellious spirit. It's like a spark of humanity in this otherwise bleak world.
Their relationship is fascinating. It's a rebellion on multiple levels, against the party's control, against their attempts to dictate love and intimacy. And it highlights a key theme in 1984, the importance of human connection and resisting totalitarian regimes.
Their secret meetings, talking by installments to avoid detection, are fraught with danger, but also filled with this desperate hope for something better. They find a temporary haven in the room above Mr. Charrington's shop, a space where they can be themselves, at least for a little while.
That room becomes symbolic. It represents a yearning for privacy, for a world without the ever-watchful eyes of Big Brother. But as we know, that illusion is shattered when the party closes in, revealing the true nature of Mr. Charrington.
It's a gut-wrenching betrayal, and it shows just how far the party's reach extends. There's nowhere to hide, nowhere to escape their control.
Which brings us to one of the most terrifying aspects of 1984, the party's ability to manipulate not just reality, but also perception. The concept of doublethink, holding two contradictory beliefs simultaneously, is key to understanding how the party maintains its power.
That's right. It's like the party forces you to accept their version of truth, even if it contradicts your own lived experience. And Winston's job at the Ministry of Truth, literally rewriting history, is a perfect example of how the party manipulates information to control people's minds.
And if you think about it, it's not so different from some things we see in our own world, is it? The way information can be manipulated, distorted, presented as truth even when it's clearly not.
It's a sobering thought. But before we get too deep into the present, let's get back to Winston and Julia. Despite the constant danger, they dare to dream of a different world, of joining the Brotherhood, this rumored resistance movement, led by the enigmatic Emmanuel Goldstein.
That hope, however fleeting, is essential. It represents the human spirit's refusal to be completely crushed, even under the most oppressive circumstances. But the question remains, can this hope survive the party's relentless pursuit of control? Winston and Julia, clinging to that hope, They take a leap of faith. They reach out to O'Brien, this high-ranking party member, believing him to be a part of the resistance.
Yeah, it's a risky move for sure, fueled by desperation and this longing for a world beyond the party's grasp. And they're meeting with O'Brien in his lavish apartment, which is such a stark contrast to their own lives. It further intensifies their belief in him.
And that contrast, I think it's deliberate on Orwell's part. It underscores those stark inequalities in Oceania. You know, the privileged existence of the inner party, compared to the drab lives of outer party members, like Winston and Julia.
And the fact that O'Brien turns off his telescreen, this seemingly impossible act, really solidifies their trust. The toast to Goldstein, their enemy, in the heart of an inter-party member's apartment, is such a powerful moment of rebellion.
Yeah, but even in that moment, Orwell maintains this sense of unease, right? The risks that are outlined by O'Brien, the potential for physical alteration, and the certainty of capture, all kind of foreshadow the brutal reality that awaits them.
Their commitment to the cause, though, overrides their fear. And reading Goldstein's book, The Theory and Practice of Oligarchical Collectivism, they delve deeper into the mechanisms of the party's power, gaining a clearer understanding of the forces they're up against.
That book within a book is so crucial. It provides this framework for understanding the party's ideology, their control over history, and the manipulation of war to maintain power. It's like Orwell is offering you, the reader, a glimpse behind the curtain, a chance to analyze the system, alongside Winston and Julia.
But their intellectual awakening is cut short. Their sanctuary, that room above Mr. Charrington's shop, is revealed to be a trap. It turns out that no space, no relationship, is safe from the party's intrusion.
That arrest scene, oh man, it's a masterclass in suspense and betrayal. It shatters that illusion of safety, and it just highlights the insidious nature of the thought police. You, as the reader, feel that same sense of shock and helplessness that Winston and Julia experience.
The world just comes crashing down around them. It's a stark reminder that rebellion in Oceania carries a very hefty price.
And that price is paid in the depths of the Ministry of Love, where Winston endures this. Physical and psychological torture, all designed to break him, to force him to love Big Brother.
His imprisonment is like this descent into a nightmare. The constant surveillance, the sleep deprivation, those carefully orchestrated interrogations. It's a chilling portrayal of the party's methods of control.
What's particularly striking is how Orwell portrays the psychological manipulation. It's not just about inflicting pain. It's about breaking down Winston's sense of self, his ability to think independently. It's about forcing him to accept the party's version of reality, even when it contradicts his own memories and experiences.
And this manipulation is orchestrated by O'Brien, the man they trusted, their supposed ally in the resistance. It's a devastating betrayal.
Think about the impact on you as a reader. It reinforces that sense of paranoia and distrust. That permeates 1984. Nobody can be trusted, not even those who appear to share your beliefs.
And the torture isn't just physical. The party uses these psychological tactics, exploiting Winston's deepest fears and insecurities. That constant threat of Room 101, a place designed to confront each prisoner with their worst nightmare, hangs over him throughout his imprisonment.
Room 101 represents the ultimate form of psychological control. It's not about physical pain. It's about breaking the human spirit by forcing the individual to betray their core values, their deepest loves.
And in Winston's case, that love is Julia. Faced with the unbearable terror of his worst nightmare, rats, he betrays her, uttering the words, "Do it to Julia, not me."
It's such a gut-wrenching moment. Winston, broken and defeated, chooses self-preservation over love and loyalty. And in that moment, the party achieves its ultimate victory.
He's released, a shell of his former self, a walking testament to the party's power, to crush dissent. He encounters Julia again, but their connection is gone, replaced by this hollow emptiness. They've both been broken by the system, forced to betray their love and their ideals.
And that final image of Winston, embracing Big Brother, his love for the party now genuine, his individuality erased, is one of the most chilling endings in literature. It underscores the party's complete domination, their ability to not just control actions, but to reshape the human soul.
Yeah, it's a bleak ending. There's no way around that. But I think what makes 1984 so powerful is that it goes beyond just telling a story. It forces us. It forces you to confront these uncomfortable truths about power, control, and the fragility of human freedom.
Exactly. You know, it's a warning, a cautionary tale about what can happen when totalitarian regimes gain absolute power. But it's also a testament to the human spirit's capacity for resistance, even in the face of overwhelming odds.
Yeah, and it feels so relevant today,
Hmm.
With all this talk about surveillance, the
Yeah.
spread of misinformation, the erosion of privacy, it's like we're seeing echoes of 1984 in our own world.
Absolutely. Orwell's novel serves as this mirror, reflecting our anxieties about the future. It forces us to ask ourselves, how do we protect our freedoms in an age of increasing technological control? How do we ensure that truth prevails in a world where information is constantly being manipulated?
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. But I think one of the most important takeaways from 1984 is the power of language,
Hmm.
Orwell's creation of newspeak, and the way the party uses it to control thought is such a chilling reminder of how language can be used as a tool of oppression.
It's not just about creating new words, it's about eliminating existing words. Concepts that challenge the party's ideology. This systematic erasure of language is a reflection of their desire to control, not just what people say, but what they think. And that's something we need to be very aware of in our own world.
So what can we do? How do we resist these forces that seem to be encroaching on our freedoms?
Well, I think 1984 offers a few key lessons. First, it highlights the importance of critical thinking. We need to be skeptical of information, to question authority, to think for ourselves,
Right.
rather than blindly accepting what we're told.
Right. It's about being informed, engaging in these thoughtful debates,
Yeah.
and challenging those in power when necessary.
Precisely. Second, 1984 underscores the importance of individual expression. You know, the act of writing in his diary, even though it's illegal. It's a powerful act of resistance for Winston. It's a way for him to hold on to his own thoughts, his own memories, in this world that's actively seeking to erase them.
So finding ways to express ourselves,
Yeah.
to share our stories, to connect with others who share our values, that's crucial in resisting any form of oppression.
Exactly. And finally, 1984 reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can endure. Even though Winston is ultimately broken by the system, there are moments throughout the novel where his humanity, his capacity for love and compassion, shines through. And that gives me hope.
Me too. It's a reminder that even though the forces of oppression may seem overwhelming, the human spirit, it can never be fully extinguished. There's always a spark of resistance, a glimmer of hope that can never be fully stamped out.
And that's a powerful message to take away from 1984. It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in safeguarding our freedoms, in resisting oppression, and in creating a world where individual expression and critical thinking are valued above all else.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into 1984. It's been a thought-provoking journey, and I hope it's left you with at least a few things to ponder about our own world.
It's been a pleasure. And remember, Big Brother may be watching, but so are we.